coming to you from the historic Hart Building in Marysville, California, in Studio 93, In the Tank with Fish, with your host, Bob Fischetti.
Well, welcome back to In the Tank with Fish and Minnow, Kelly the Minnow. And last time we came on, I started this with, this is an adventure. Mm-hmm. And it turned out to be an
It did.
And so each person is an adventure. You know, it's just amazing. It's like, it's people's real lives, right? Yeah. It's like, why would you waste your time on reality TV? You know, this is not Jerry Springer. Kelly is not going to throw a chair at me. Right?
Nope.
At least I don't think she's going to. We're going to hope that, right? You know. But anyway, today we're going to have a great guest come in. As usual, we're going to ask him, you know, where'd you grow up, right? You know, that kind of stuff, right? You know. And so, but you and I were talking just prior to coming on. One of the things we talked about is you love old houses.
I do. I really do. I've always lived in old houses. And I think to me, like the nostalgia behind an old house, the character, you know, the creaky floorboards, all the things that people don't want, I love.
Is this why we get along?
Maybe. Just one of many reasons. Yeah.
I creak when I walk.
I like that you creak when you walk, you know. You don't have a great memory, all these things.
That's why I have you, so I can remember things.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you said, you were like the brain outside the brain, right?
Exactly. Yes, here we are.
All right, so I have to ask you, we're going to talk a little bit about bread.
Go ahead.
Right? I'm convinced that the big bread building is coming.
Really?
Yeah. Don't you think?
Yes. Yes and no. Because I feel like...
frightening to you to think...
Have you met me? I'm not scared of many things.
Yeah, I don't even know why I said that.
No,
that was a waste.
Yeah, no, not scared at all. Probably not ready to step away from being at home just because I'm home with the boys. And we're pretty close to capacity at home. And so it's, you know, I was talking about this we were at a fair last weekend and one of the customers said, well, why not just grow? And I was like, I could, but for now, I'm choosing. It could change
things.
Yeah.
It could be a radical change. So with the home oven, you still keep that? Can you use that?
So I upgraded to a bread oven, and that has been huge. That alone has been.
It's called a bread oven?
Yeah, it's a Simply Bread oven. So it's made for cottage bakers who bake at home. So you don't need a vent. You don't need, it's just a 220 dryer hookup, and you can bake at home. So I went from doing 6 loaves in an hour to 15 in 30 minutes. So it's pretty big. I could bake 125 scones at once. I know. So Patty can up her scone order, I'm saying.
Well, I don't know
I can
why.
handle it.
I told her, she said, I asked her, I said, did you text Kelly and order our scones? And so Patty will get stuff and it'll be a few minutes before, you know. So I'm laying in bed and she goes, so here's the 6 choices of scones, right? And I'm like, don't make me make a choice, just get right. But then she hit
maple pecan,
and I went, oh, I'm trying that.
It's like a maple donut married a scone and they had a baby. And then you add in pecans and it's just, I love maple donuts. It's my go-to. So
I'm a plain cake donut guy.
Are you?
Yeah, I love a plain cake donut with a cup of coffee. I'm like in heaven.
Did you know I worked at Winchell's in college? Did I tell you this? I worked at Winchell's Donuts in college. I worked at Denny's the night shift. I'd get off at like 4 a.m. and then I'd go home. I'd take an hour nap and then I'd go to Winchell's Donuts and I would open Winchell's Donuts, and all the old men love buttermilk, old fashioned, or plain cake donuts. So
Here we go.
I could have pegged you.
Well, did you have trouble beating the boys off to try to keep them away from you? I mean, who did?
Only because I smelled like donuts.
Exactly. Who would love a girl that smells like a donut, right? It's like,
that's one of my many fine qualities.
With all your creativity, you should create donut smell perfume, right? You know, it's like... Anyway, so listen, we're going to come right back with our guest. And I first have to always, as usual, teach Kelly how to say his name.
Yes, please.
It's Mark. Sorry.
I'm going to commit that one to memory.
But it's not spelled with a K. All right. So anyway, we'll be right back. Stay with us. You are watching and hopefully enjoying and pressing the subscribe button so you never miss an episode of In the Tank with Fish and Minnow. 93Q Radio was an opportunity for what's called an LPFM to give the community a voice.
The big part of what's happening here is it's us. It's the community of us.
The work that Mr. Fischetti has done with us to promote public education has been absolutely groundbreaking.
They have the pulse of our community, from the nonprofits to the local governments. If you want to find out what's happening in our community, get on board with 93Q.
And 93Q does so much to help our community, helps us promote our local events, as well as local businesses, and tell our story about what we do here in Yuba City.
The folks that work here, they're part of our community, so they understand our needs, and that's important.
Local radio is so important. During times of emergency, they're there. We lean on them to provide information to our public.
My wife and I are glad to support 93Q. We're going to do it on a monthly basis, but I really recommend that if you want to make your community better, it's a great place to take a first step right here.
So if you can, reach deep in your pocket and give to 93Q.
93Q is a great partner for law enforcement, and they're a great partner for the Yuba City area.
We're really asking people if you can give $10, $15, $20 a month, and then that enables us to continue to put small business spots on the air, nonprofits, organizations that are they're using every dollar they got just to operate, and they don't have extra money to spend on really promoting their cause. And that is why community radio, to me, I'm grateful to be part of it, and that's why it's important.
Hi, and welcome back to In the Tank with Fish and Minnow. Our special guest today is Marc Boomgaarden. Bam! Nailed it.
You did it. Yep. Very good. Yeah.
Welcome to the show. See? We were getting a promotion over here.
Not Baumgartner, not Baumgarten. No,
I really wanted, I was like in my head, don't say Boomgardner, because that's...
Yeah, it happens all the time.
I know. Boom
Yeah,
garden.
I didn't ask her to spell it, Mark. I thought that would be asked a little bit.
Don't start with me.
You probably could, though. You'd probably be really good at that.
Could I use it in a sentence, too? Spelling bee, go. Okay, focus.
Oh, please.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here. Yeah, thank you for the invite.
Absolutely.
Look forward to chatting.
Well, I had thought about different people, and we're getting where our list is pretty long of people that could be on. But, you know, I genuinely have a goal in mind. And it's like a lot of people know you. You were with the farm.
Valley Truck and Tractor.
Valley Truck and Tractor.
Mm-hmm.
And I had met you. I don't know if it was there, but I was with Talk Radio at the time. And you guys had a spot that ran on that. And so I think I met you there, but then you ran for office.
Yep.
Which I'm sorry that worked out for you.
It's been interesting. I mean, this is year 6, 2 more to go.
Is it really year 6,
Yeah.
Mark? Wow. Has it gone by fast?
Sometimes it goes really fast. Sometimes it goes excruciatingly slow.
Yeah. Well, I know I was always amazed. I was sitting in your office, and we were just talking about a lot of different stuff, but I had asked you, because of that business, Valley Truck and Tractor, and you had mentioned that trying to deal with a budget of a business that big, that budget could actually be larger than the city's budget.
Right.
And I was like, well, I'm glad that you're running for office. You know what I mean? Because that's always a big deal. It's like, how did you even, I can't even imagine that. I can't get my head wrapped around. And you guys had like 9 locations or something?
We did, yeah. We had 9 locations. Our furthest south was Elk Grove, and the furthest north was Chico. We were the largest John Deere dealership for ag equipment in California before we sold.
Were you surprised that it sold?
No, because John Deere at the time was, and still is, looking for, they want bigger, more companies that have more stores. It's easier on them because they don't have to deal with, the overhead at their level to go to the onesies, twosies, and whatever. So we were either going to be gobbling or being gobbled. And at the end, it was probably a good thing to be gobbled, given what's going on in the ag equipment industry. But the company had been around since 1948 and had a really good spot in the community. And that's the downside, is that, it was a very community-oriented organization. And now it's part of a 45-store thing with the headquarters in Eugene, Oregon. So you lose a little bit of the local hometown flavor when that happens.
I think that's common, though. It's corporate. It's it's that deal. I tell people I always look for a small bank when I move to an area that's more local. And I actually at one time was banking at the Bank of Alex Brown.
Wow. Never heard of it.
It was in Elk Grove.
Okay.
And it was I remember seeing the name and I went, I'm banking there. Yeah. It was who's Alex Brown? I never did find out, but I was at his bank. And, but yeah, I when I met you, have you always been involved in agriculture? Was that
No.
Because I know that you worked the fire department. Well, we're going to talk about that, what you did. But how did Marc grow up? What was the atmosphere? And are you local? Were you?
Well, I'm not local, but my family's been here for 4 generations. I mean, we go all the way back to the 1800s. My mom was born and raised in Marysville, over on 13th Street, graduated from Marysville High School.
Go Indians.
Yeah. She ended up in the Bay Area, which is where I'm from.
Oh.
So she went that way. I came this way when I got older. I actually came up here to play baseball at Yuba College. But I've been up in the area since I was tiny, and just really have always loved it and stuck.
There is something about this area that is almost not California. It's like the Central Valley, right, and the Sacramento Valley. This is different. The whole thing is different and I believe a lot of it has to do with agriculture.
Right. Yeah. There was a lot of people. My hometown is Orinda, California. It's in the East Bay, and a lot of my friends are going, "What are you moving up there for?" And I go, "I love it. I just love it." And I had several opportunities to go other places in my fire career, and I said, "No, I'm staying here. I like it." So.
When did you decide? Which we're going to bring up fire careers.
Yeah, no Kelly's.
I'm also from the Bay Area.
Yeah,
Contra Costa County, Pleasant Hill.
Yeah, so I was a little west of you.
Yep.
And you both ended up putting out fires.
Yeah.
And living here.
Yeah.
And living here, So how did that happen, Marc?
When I was at Yuba College, a job for a summer relief firefighter became available at Yuba City Fire. And I had already been a volunteer there. I had a cousin who was working there full time. My grandfather was a volunteer firefighter for Marysville. So it was, I started with that. And then in my second year at Yuba, they had a full-time opening and I was encouraged to apply. And then I had to make this decision about, I always wanted to be a pro baseball player, but I didn't have the skills to, I knew that, or take this job in the fire service. And it really worked out well for me. I made the right choice. We had a really good Yuba College baseball team. But yeah, that's how I got into the fire service.
I grew up, I was born in Brooklyn, but I grew up in St. Louis, and we played baseball. I mean, from sun up to sundown.
Yeah.
And my next door neighbor, because we didn't have fences back there, we had one really low fence, and if you hit it over that, it was a home run. But he literally worked for Rawlings. So all us kids, because Ricky's father worked at Rawlings, we had a backstop, we had real bases, we had a real pitcher's mound, right? Yeah, I mean, the whole thing.
Not like us playing wiffle ball on the grass trying to figure out what was or anything. Right?
And so I still, to this day, I love baseball. Oh, yeah. I'll forever be a Cardinals fan because I, grew up there, but there is something about that, and I think that you learn certain skills playing ball. in your life. Yeah.
100% agree, Fish. I think that I reflect back on all the teams that I played on. Fortunately, I played on some really good baseball teams in high school and at Yuba. And, sports mimics life. And, I kind of I've told my kids they all played baseball as well. Go figure.
All 9 of them. His own team.
And I kept telling them, and, sports mimics life. You're going to have, the coach is the boss, and you're going to have teammates, which are like your employee, your fellow employees and stuff. And now they come back and say, Dad, you're right. So anyway, it was really a good experience for me. It certainly was playing with good people, good coaching, I think, certainly helped me in my fire service career too, as well as later on as I was in leadership roles.
So you ended up at Yuba City Fire was your first.
Yes.
Because you didn't stop at just.
I was a volunteer, then I was full-time firefighter, and then I just worked my way up to the ranks eventually as fire chief.
For Yuba City?
For Yuba City.
Wow. Yeah. Did you know that?
I didn't.
I knew he was with the fire. I didn't know he was a chief.
No. Now, I'm sorry, Chief. Now we should have been addressing you as Chief.
I know. What were you
You're
thinking?
getting us in
You should
trouble.
know.
You should have known.
You of all people, you worked in that field. Literally.
It's true. All right, I'll take a little bit of responsibility.
So, do you know her story?
A little bit, yeah.
Do you know she just bravely saw we're hiring and called.
Stupidly, it's hard to say. Brave, stupidity, they're very fine line.
Wasn't the sign along the street or the road or something like that? Yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there. You should have taken that sign home.
I know. Yeah, I should. Put it in my man cave.
So how did you go from the fire service? I mean, you were chief, so I mean, is there no place to go from that once you're there?
Well, I mean, for me, I think, frankly, I made chief a little early. I was 35.
Wow.
And so I missed out on a lot of the good stuff of firefighting, but for me, to go into the private sector, what happened was one of the councilmen that I worked for as a fire chief owned Valley Truck and Tractor.
Oh.
And he approached me and recruited me at the time that I was getting ready to retire. And he looked at me and I looked at, and I said, hey, look, I don't know anything about, ag equipment. He says, I'm not hiring you for that. We're getting ready to grow. And I want somebody that, can lead that growth. So I said, look, I'll give you 6 months. You give me 6 months. We'll see how it works out. And I ended up there for 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when did you retire from the fire service? How
2000, I was 30, or no, not 30. I was 50. It was 30-year service.
Wow.
Yeah. Left in 2009 and went to work for Valley Truck and
then a
Tractors.
full second career.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
He's on his third.
Yeah, I was going to say third if we're in politics.
So I remember talking to you a little bit about it, but at some point you felt like I want to make a difference in my community beyond my job, right?
Yes.
And that's when the opportunity to run for city council came up.
Yeah, I had kind of sworn off local government when I left, just it was at 2009. We're kind of in the recession and all the stuff that I and the rest of the folks I worked with at Yuba City, we'd built up. We introduced things like swiftwater rescue teams, hazardous materials teams, working with the SWAT, growing the fire department. And it looked like it was going to be one of those things like, wow, it's going to be some rugged times. And then this other opportunity. And, when you're in local government, sometimes people will say, hey, look, you're always on the public dole. You're not doing anything. So when it came to an opportunity or a challenge for private sector, I thought, I'm going to go try this. I think I can do this. And it worked out for me anyway. And it worked out for the company. We went from 5 stores to 9 stores and it was a challenge, and that's, I always try to leave things better than I got them. I felt like I certainly did that at Yuba City Fire, and I think I did that at Valley Truck and Tractor as well, along with folks I work with. I'm not the one and only. You always have to have a really good team to accomplish things, for sure.
I think there's your baseball analogy right there, and I think I feel that way. I'm not a loner.
Right.
I'm not a one-man show. I mean, I understand responsibility and leadership. I get that. But what good would it be if you weren't working with other people and that camaraderie? And I mean, which I think really hit me when I was in the military.
Right.
Man, I get camaraderie.
Yeah.
And I think that's so incredibly valuable. And so there's something happens when you have that exchange. And so leadership-wise, you had experienced that easily with the fire department. So putting you in a business suit, although I don't think you wore a suit at Valley. I don't remember seeing Mark in a suit. But
I don't think more of a jeans guy.
Yeah, you know, about like he looks now, right?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close. I don't think a three-piece suit would be tolerated much out in the field.
Oh, no.
They talk to a farmer. That's
they wouldn't believe you, right? No matter what you told him. He doesn't know equipment.
But I think your question was, what made me run or consider running for office. And I think at the time, I had, 30 years of experience with the city of Yuba City. And then, at that time, probably around 8 years of private sector service. And I thought, when I have something to offer, I don't know if people want it, but I think I have something to offer. And there were some things going on in the city that made me scratch my head a little bit. And I had, I'd had people approach me about running. And I said, no. But my kids went off to college. So, and I had made a promise to myself and my family that I would be a part of my son's life because my father wasn't a part of my life.
Yeah.
And so, I was always at their games or helping, with whatever. And so I had space. And I said, okay, I'll do it now. I guess 6
How
years
many
later.
kids do you have?
I have a 30-year-old son, and I have 25-year-old twin boys. Wow. Yeah. One's a lefty and one's a righty, so I have a bullpen.
Come on.
and what's nice is they're all back here. They always say kids want to get out of here, and they went off other places, but they've resettled here in Yuba City, so we were fortunate to have them local.
Yeah, there's something about that. I talk to people all the time, and they're either saying, I can't wait to get out of here, right?
Yeah.
Or they're like, well, I left, but there's no place like this. It's very unique here.
Yeah.
We have a very unique place. John Cassidy, we had him on the air. We were talking during a fundraiser, and John said, we live on an island. And I said, what does that mean? And he said, you can't leave and go any direction and not hit farmland.
Yep.
He said, we are on an island. And I have always thought that is part of what makes this area unique. And once you've been here, I remember thinking, I got offered to pastor a church up here, and I thought, I can't wait to get out of California.
Right.
I was in Elk Grove, right, which was a great community. And then I ended up in Yuba City. And it's like, that's not out of California. That's like 56 miles north, right? Here, wasn't it? But it didn't take me long being here. I went, I love this.
I think I mentioned earlier, there was opportunities to go other places. I was offered the fire chief's job in Beverly Hills. And, but I was going to have to, I couldn't live there. And I would have had to live, an hour or so away. And, the traffic. And again, I had my kids at the time. And I'm going, I'm not doing that. I don't regret it. I mean, yeah, it would have been kind of interesting. But you know what? I would have given up being able to go to the high school sports and, the other stuff that they were involved in. So,
Did they all go through Marysville High?
Yuba City. Excuse me. River Valley High School for one, Sutter High School for the twins.
Okay. Yeah, my son is a teacher at River Valley.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, yeah. He loves teaching, and I'm glad he's still in the area, same as you would be. But neither one of my boys really got into sports, and that always kind of amazed me. And they're both easily athletic.
Yeah.
And it's like, you guys, did I miss it somewhere as a dad? I love baseball. You guys couldn't at least, the closest I ever came was I played catch with them. I bought the gloves and the ball. Let's play catch, right? I mean, it's like,
Did they get into music?
They got into music. Both of them got into music.
That should not be a surprise to you.
My mom was a music teacher.
Yeah.
But I'm not into. I did not get any music genes at all. So I am always envious of those folks who have that ability.
Well, Kelly was going to ask you to sing a song while you were here.
I don't do that either. No.
She had a few picked out, right?
Yeah. You want people to turn this off, have me singing. You don't want that.
Just follow this teleprompter.
And so, all right, I got to ask you this. So,
Okay.
Who is Mrs. Boomgaarden?
So Mrs. Boomgaarden is Karen Boomgaarden, and we met when I was buying groceries at the Lucky's grocery store, and she was a bagger at the grocery store. Yeah, and so she didn't want to go out with me for quite a while, but finally I cracked that seal and we went out, and she ended up staying in a career with Lucky's grocery stores. And she actually has her teaching credential, but she opted to stay with grocery management, and she was going all over the place while I was doing fire stuff. And once the family started coming along, then she was able to stay at home with our boys.
You know, there is I read an article, it's been a while back, the best place to meet women is in a grocery store. It's like, so here I got somebody that can validate that story.
It's proof.
It's living proof right here. You heard it here first, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
How old were you when you guys met?
I think I was, I was probably 21 and she was probably 18, 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were new to the fire service.
I was.
Were you in your uniform when you went through the line?
I would have to say yes.
See, there it is.
That's what happened.
So that's the whole
I was in
grocery store
uniform.
thing,
That
yeah.
was it. They were like,
It's uniform and grocery store.
Yeah, we didn't shop too many other places. We went to that place.
Now, where was that at?
Here in Yuba City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We had a Lucky's.
It was at Gray Avenue. Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There's been
His brain's trying to process. Wait a second.
It's like, did I see that? Did I see the Lucky's? Right?
You did.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that because I think we had somebody that was at the church that was working there, and they gave them the option of going to another Lucky store wherever. Or
yeah, you could bounce. You know, and she did. She bounced around. She worked at Marysville, Grass Valley, Oroville. They just kind of shipped her all over.
So, what does she do now?
You know, today she's really into genealogy, and she works at the LDS church. They have a family search center there, and she's involved. She volunteers her time to go over there on Tuesdays, and they've just started a little genealogy club over there.
That's amazing. We announced that. Virgil Atkins came in, and Virg brought a lady with him that runs that.
Probably Lynn is her name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talked about that you could, because people thought, well, I have to be a member of the LDS to do that. Yeah. And that's not how it works. I don't know if people realize
not LDS people, but they just embraced her because she had a desire to do that kind of stuff. So
that's got to be interesting.
Well, you know, I find out all kinds of stuff about my family, mostly good. On both sides.
She doesn't tell you about that other stuff, Mark. She's keeping that out. So you had enough of a career, like you said, private sector, and then working for city government.
Right.
What really changed, though, Mark, when you stepped in and said, okay, now I get to be the change maker. I get to be part of the decision-making process, because in the private sector, you got to see that with a very large corporation, and you got to see, okay, if it's going to expand, if it's going to get better, I got to have my finger on the pulse of this. What happened when you walked into that city council position?
I sort of had to kind of remember that being in local government, and this isn't a knock, it's just a fact, is it's not nearly as nimble as a private sector.
That's a great way to put it.
So, you know, pivoting at the local government level is sometimes, you know, you just have to kind of step back for a second and go, okay, look, number one, you're working with 4 other people. And if you can't count to 3, you can't do anything anyway, because, for policy making. I think it was easier for me because a lot of the department heads at the city who I have a lot of respect for and I had worked with in some capacity when I was there, they were, we just had. So there were, they knew a bit about me. I knew a bit about them. Doesn't mean that we still didn't have a little bit of the give and take of, okay, what's going on in that department now? How can we help? And I've always looked at it as, council people aren't there to necessarily direct. They do when they have to, but it's really is guiding policy and stepping back. And it's, again, I think sometimes people get into office, and I've seen this, both from a department head level, but also on the council. They come in, all ready to get and go, and they say, hey man, you need to listen a little bit and kind of take your time. There's a rhythm and a cadence to this stuff. And as much as we've tried to make it quicker, there is still process that has to go through. And, and that was probably the biggest challenge, is just getting out of the private sector mindset of being able to do, okay, we're doing this today type of a thing.
Yeah. And in the private sector, sometimes decisions have to be made quickly.
Right.
Because the opportunity is not going to stay there.
Right.
And in government, you don't get that.
I think the other thing is my definition, and Kelly will know this too, and you as well, my definition of a stressful situation is a lot different than a lot of people. Okay. Right? I mean,
literally, it's not on fire.
Yeah.
Right. And even if it is, take your time.
I actually say that to people. I go, nobody's on fire. Nobody's hair's
dying.
on fire. Yeah, nobody's dying. And it's like, and people look at me like, and it's like, well, okay, that requires immediate action, right?
Right. Yeah. So Sean was mayor for part of COVID. I was mayor for the other part of COVID, and it was stressful because there was a lot of stuff coming out of Sacramento that impacted our businesses in a very negative way that we were trying to resist. Because we, not because we just didn't want to, because it just didn't make sense, Mm-hmm. And so, those were stressful times for the city. And I think, we navigated them pretty well here in the city. Not, would have liked to have made sure that the barbershops and the cosmetologists could have done their thing, and the bars and some of the other stuff. But one of the things also was trying to make people aware of what the city actually controls, what the county actually controls, what the schools actually control, because I don't have any control over what county does. I don't have any control over what the schools are. I can really only deal with things that are under the control or under the supervision of the city of Yuba City.
But I think it goes back to us being an island on that. Like, I think you guys did a great job during that. I feel like if you traveled or went anywhere else, I mean, you could see how different it was in Sutter and Yuba County when you came back home versus being out, just how many businesses were completely shut down and policies that were obviously in place, for businesses elsewhere versus here. I think you guys did a good job of trying to protect and keep things open. Mm-hmm. And
I think our law enforcement folks, Sheriff Barnes and our chiefs of police, they took an appropriate view of education rather than enforcement. Yep. Right? Yep. At the end of the day, people needed to make their decisions on what they wanted to do, and that's what it should be like, in my opinion, anyway. But, I appreciate hearing that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, we got earmarked up here as rebels. Oh, yes. Right? Because
very much so.
Because the bottom line was, look, if this doesn't make any sense, we have a responsibility to everything. It wasn't just the health of people, because unfortunately with COVID, they were trying to make decisions based on almost zero information.
Right.
Up to and including the whole process for a vaccine takes a long time, and all of a sudden we're going to do this, right? And I think that the people in the Yuba Sutter area specifically, the ones that have to do leadership, council members and supervisors, law enforcement with both sheriffs on both sides, it was very difficult for them because they're looking at they're here.
Right.
These are the people here. Yeah. And my decision whether it's city council or, like you mentioned, the sheriff, my decision is gonna affect them now and in the future. And so you guys were not willing to just go, well, whatever you tell us, we're just going to do it. So you were viewed as rebels, but you really weren't. You were actually caring about our community. And that was a point on the air I tried to get across over and over again. Look, guys, you guys gotta look at this. We are not Sacramento. And I've said that for a long time. We're not Washington, D.C.
Yep.
Right? We're here. Our feet are here. The people that are here are trying to make the best choices for here. This area is unusual in its giving and volunteerism and cooperation and community unity. It's unusual, and so we were not going to just go lockstep with Sacramento. And I was really glad. But personally, thank you, Mark, and thank you for the rest of the council and the sheriffs that said we're not going to do that. We're going to do what's best for you guys. That's why we're here.
We took a little heat.
Yeah, you voted us in.
That's okay. It's okay. Right?
Yeah, that's it. I'm used to it.
Turnouts out you. It's fine.
Yeah.
Nobody's hair's on fire. It's close, but not quite, Yeah, that was a very difficult time. And so how long can you stay on city council?
There are no term limits. I mean,
wow.
I have a self-imposed term limit of 2 years. So I have 2 more years left on the council. And I don't intend to run for city council.
You should run for something. Have you ever thought about being a radio DJ?
I don't think I possess the skills that you and Kelly have.
We tell you adjust that mic. So
well, that's something technical.
Kurt's hiring you right after this. You'll be sitting in the chair back there.
Yeah.
You don't strike me as someone that's going to retire. So you've got to have some kind of plan.
I really don't. Like I said, I like giving back to my community. I've got boards that I sit on, and shameless plugs for those at some point. But
that's okay. You can say
plug away.
Yeah. So the trauma intervention program, I'm a board member. I was part of the
tip.
Yeah, I helped bring that on back in the early '90s.
That's a great fit for you.
Yeah. Early Risers Kiwanis, we do a lot in the community.
I won't join them. The very name is enough for me.
Early
to
Risers,
part.
Stuff.
You're up early anyway. Stop pretending.
And then I help. I help So You Can.
That's a great.
And
great
so I'm helping them this year coordinate the food portion of their Christmas giveaway. So there's stuff online there if people want to donate food. We serve over 500 families.
We love So You Can.
Yeah, well, we used to go out there and do it live. I got to find out why we're not doing that anymore. But we did that, and people loved it because we would do it, and now we do video, because you saw everybody coming, picking up stuff, and then going to the houses and telling the stories.
It's powerful. I mean, when you walk up to something, because I deliver as well, when you go to that house and you've got a box of food and some presents, and darn well, because the folks that get nominated are very needy people. And so it's heartwarming for sure.
Yeah.
I brought the kids with us last time we delivered. It was like, here's a good eye opener.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I should take my kids.
Yeah.
I don't care how old they are.
Those guys.
Get in the car. Dad's taking you. You're going.
We didn't ask. Do you have grandkids?
No.
Whoa.
No.
Holding off.
Yeah. Well, my oldest son, he works, he's an orchard operations manager for Bam Brothers, which is a big farming outfit on the west side. So he's kind of chasing his career right now. Yeah. He just got a proud dad moment. He got accepted into the ag leadership class, which is a statewide thing where they pick 24 ag folks to be a part of.
That's a great program.
Yeah. And then the other two, they're just doing their jobs, trying to figure stuff out.
They're still young too.
Yeah.
Both my boys.
Let them be young.
I was just going to say, both my boys were over 30 before they got married.
Yeah.
And they used to ask me. I remember I used to do these retreats. I'd go out to a Point Arena Lighthouse, and I'd take people out there. And my son was with me, and we're going down the road, and he said to me, "Dad, you think I should get married before 30?" And I thought he said by 4:30. I was like, You got somebody picked out. We're on the road. What time is it? Wait, 4:30. And he just started laughing. He said, no, Dad. He said, I'm getting ready to be 30. And I remember him saying to me, he said that when he would date, he would tell girls, I want you to know up front, I'm not ready to get married. So I'm not looking for, something serious. Because I always told him, you be honest, right? Don't lead some girl on, right? You tell them where you're at. And when he said that, I realized he was saying to me, I'm ready. And it wasn't long after that he met this gal that he's currently married to. And so when you said that about your boys, it's like, when it hits, it hits.
I'm not going to pressure them. They'll figure it out.
No, that's what I mean. It just,
They're at an important point too, just career-wise and figuring out life.
Yeah.
They have time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there probably is not necessarily how many years you've been married? Oh, you better get this one right, Mark.
We can edit this out if
we'll edit this.
41.
41 years.
I think that's right.
And so does your wife realize that for you two, there probably isn't a retirement? You're going to be giving and connecting with the community forever.
She wasn't necessarily jumping for joy when I ran for the second.
She wasn't?
No. The city council, and I'm sure you've heard this before, it's not just a meeting every two times a month. If you're on committees, then you're at, like tomorrow I've got an hour-long or so meeting in the middle of the day for the Regional Housing Authority. Next week, I'm at Sutter Butte's Flood Control Agency. Next week, after that, I'm at, Local Agency Formation Commission. Meetings in Sacramento with SACOG. I mean, and they all are like little chunks of time in the middle of the day. Yeah. And so, it's sometimes it's difficult to just kind of pick up and go do something. You have to really kind of be strategic about it. But I love it. I'm not complaining about it. I just don't think most people realize the time commitment.
Well, I think they think you're going to get a paycheck, and you guys are way overpaid. I mean, you get all these big bucks. You drive great big SUVs and take vacations in Cabo, and it's just the way it is. Well, you're on the government dole, right? So you're, right? But the truth,
$600 a month for
which what does that break down to? Like $3 an hour?
Yeah. So, but the truth is it's a sharp learning curve to start off with when you get elected.
If you're doing it right, yes.
Because there's a lot more involved than I'm just going to sit up there for 2 meetings. And because I've known a lot of you guys, I've had a chance to get an insight into it. So if people are thinking about running, they really need to talk to somebody who's actually doing it and go, wait a minute, this is what it takes to do it well.
So we mentioned Mayor Harris. When I was running he was part of a group that was trying to coerce me into running. And I said, okay, tell me really, how much time is this going to take these days? Because I had kind of an idea, but I'd been away for a while. And he goes, maybe 10 hours a month. Sean. I still get after him. I said, come on, Sean. That wasn't right. 10 hours a month. Man, that's a lot longer.
Now that is recruiting.
Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe 10 hours. Why are you you're supposed to be able to trust the city commander, right? I mean.
You've had a turn at mayor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
During COVID, in a couple weeks, all things being equal, I'll be the vice mayor, and then my last year on the council, I'll be the mayor in 2026.
Who's the mayor next time?
Dave Shaw.
Oh, not Shaw.
Yeah.
Dave, if you're watching.
You can't say that.
I love Dave. So that guy's high speed, low drag. He's just moving.
When I was mayor the first time, Dave was my vice mayor. Oh. So this is role reversal. Yeah.
This will be fun. You guys are really... I'm very impressed, and I can say whatever I want. I'm on the station, right? It's like, right, because I think you guys, and I've said this before, especially with you and Sean, when you were in during a season, we needed first responders that think, right? Okay, nobody's hair is on fire. Let's keep the peace. Or like with the Orville Dam incident. We needed people that could think outside the box and yet within the confines of, guys, don't anybody forget, it's about the people. And you guys are very much that way. I've had private conversations with all of you at some point, and every one of you is that way. This community matters to you. It's not just a job. So I'm going to go on record and say, Sean, don't tell anybody it's 10 hours. That was a lie. Right?
Yeah. A gentle fib. For the right reasons.
But I'm glad you did it to get him in. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So where do you go from here if you're done with the 2 years? I mean, are you already thinking down the road, Mark?
You know, there's opportunities to do things. You know, I again, I love the area. I get, frankly, I get a little, what's the right word? Concerned with, you know, the lack of local control and things that come out of Sacramento, and you know, the state isn't good. I don't have any, you know, immediate needs or plans to leave the state. I've been chatted about running for county supervisor. You know, I suppose that's something that would be considered at some point. We'll just have to see what that looks like. I'm not getting younger. There are things I want to do. I want to learn how to fly fish. I haven't, you know, that's a bucket list thing for me.
Wow.
I like playing golf, you know, with my friends. So, you know, I wouldn't mind doing a little bit more of that.
I had to think for a second because I didn't know if you were saying I want to learn how to fly fish or I want to learn how to fly fish.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know which one.
No.
Where's the emphasis?
He's buying an airplane.
Well, if I flew anything, it'd be a copter. That's on a bucket list. I don't know about.
Yeah. Well, I do think that a key point that I will agree with you until the day they throw dirt on me, and that is I am disappointed in the state of California thinking they had to control everything. And the number of decisions, whether it's been education or local government, I was absolutely shocked when, I forget who it was, came on and talked about the tax measure, right? When I found out that of the sales tax that people pay, only 1% stays here, I was like, how do they expect us to take care of stuff in the city? Where's that money going to, right? And it really kind of infuriated me. And I'm like a lot of people, I don't want any more tax.
I didn't either.
But at the same time, it's like, I was shocked at you know, and then what? So they take it and then they dole a little bit back to you. And it's like this is a huge deal. We live in a great community that really, and education, I've talked to superintendent of schools on both sides of the river and teachers. And it's like, when do we get some local control back with all these key areas? So, man, I'm in your court. You run for anything. I'm checking off Marc Boomgaarden because I don't know what it's going to take. Probably a change in government at state level, but to be willing to fight and say, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we have what we have. And I hope people remember that when we went through COVID, it was the leadership that we had in Yuba City and Marysville, and the leadership in both counties and both sheriffs, Wendell Anderson and Brandon Barnes, that said, no, we're going to take care of the people. We live here. We see this. So I appreciate you guys taking the stand you did.
I'm concerned, you know, at the state level, and Kelly will understand this, a lot of things don't happen until there's a catastrophe.
Yeah.
And we called it the law of catastrophic reform, right? And something won't happen. You know, what is that triggering event that suddenly wakes people up and says, hey, look, you know what? We're going to have to take care of ourselves here. I wasn't for a tax at all, you know. I do, as you know, have a little bit of familiarity with budgets. And, you know, so anyway, it took us a while to sort through and make sure the city's budget was really, you know, what you need, what you have. Anyway, what's been interesting and what would keep me from doing something in public office again is this general mistrust of politicians. It's hard. And again, I'm not complaining, but when people, you know, go on record as saying, you know, this guy's doing this wrong, or, you know, I got pretty thick skin, but it gets troublesome because we really are trying to do what's right. Mm-hmm. And in this case, we're giving people an opportunity to make a choice. What's wrong with that? you can choose. I mean, I respect someone who says, no, I don't want to do it. But, personal attacks or fibs, lies, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, and just putting things out there.
Yeah, that gets troublesome.
I think when I had an opportunity to do community radio, one of the things I went after right away was law enforcement, because of all the negative things that were said about law enforcement. And at the time, I was a chaplain for Yuba City PD, and I'm like, this is just lies, right? And I'm not saying that an officer can't go rogue.
Right.
I'm not saying something can't happen. But it was ridiculous. It was, let's defund the police. I mean, the whole thing was like, who woke up and took stupid pills this morning because they're taking effect? But then I saw the same thing with education. I saw the same thing with government. And John Duke at the time was the mayor of Yuba City. And I called up John and I said, hey John, I got some stuff brewing in my mind. Can we have a chat, right? And he was very accommodating. And I said, I want you to come on the air once a month. And then if you'd like, I'd like to do the Mayor's Minute, where you just do a little quick blurb. And we start letting people know who it is we have in office and what they do.
And it's such beneficial. I mean, I know we've continued to appreciate the opportunity to come on and then bring some of our city folks along to tell the real story, not that contrived story or misbelieved story or some fiction that's out there about stuff.
Yeah. I think it's hard to, hate people if you lean in, right? So once you get to know somebody, once you see like, oh, that's a human, they've got a wife and kids, and then you start to go, oh, maybe I should, research instead of just believing what's out there. Maybe I should get to know them as a human on a human level instead of attacking behind a keyboard.
Yeah.
The keyboard warrior, my favorite person. I love those folks.
Don't get me started.
Well, Mark, I can't even begin to tell you. I'm so grateful that you came in. I've had this plan and I've worked on it. So, since you were willing,
survived
to survive the tank with fish and minnow, you get your very own cup, and you can only get one of those by
braving the tank. Yeah.
Well, the tank is a good thing. Yeah, you guys are, you're doing stuff that helps keep the community informed, and I think moving forward, and you're providing a forum for the right information to get out, which I think is huge, really huge. I appreciate it.
All right, I'm not going to cry. Are you going to cry?
I'm not going to cry. We already had this conversation. We're too soft.
Peeling onions downstairs.
I'm just thinking of those maple pecan.
Oh, I'm
fine. I'll drop some by. Or you have what we do.
No, I know where you're at.
Listen, for the better part of a month or so, when I found out what Kelly does in making bread, I came up with this very creative bread using Cheetos.
Thank you. Your response is exactly, I'm like, sourdough bread is healthy. It's literally water, organic flour, and salt. And this guy's like, we should introduce everything
all the
terrible
chemicals
into it. Yeah.
However, she mentioned it to her teenage boys. And they are in my court.
They're probably all of them.
They are.
Yeah.
So come Christmas, somebody I'm sure will be getting a Cheeto loaf.
Wow. I'd like to see that picture.
Probably I'll taste it and go, who?
Yeah, whose idea was this?
You'll have the orange fingers.
He had Cheeto bread. Mark, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it. Thanks for serving our community in the capacity that you have for literally years, whether it was a fire department, our ag community. I mean, you're the right guy at the right time. I don't care what anybody else thinks. Don't listen to the naysayers. The only reason they're naysayers is they don't know anything, so they talk about what they don't know in an effort to have people think they do know. Did that even make it?
Sure, we'll go with that. We'll run with that.
Like I just said, hey, listen.
Well, thanks. Thanks, you fish. Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah,
I enjoyed this opportunity. Thanks.
I think it was a compliment, Mark. I think
it was.
Plus, I got a coffee cup.
We're going to be right back. Kelly and I, we're going to be talking not about Cheeto bread. I have other ideas. So stay with us. And again, hit the, I don't know if you have a like button, but there's a subscribe where you won't miss any of these. Normally, we do these and they break every Saturday morning, and you can see them on our Facebook, 93QRadio.com. Also, you can go to YouTube. YouTube, thank you. You can go to YouTube, the 93Q TV. 93Q Radio was an opportunity for what's called an LPFM to give the community a voice.
The big part of what's happening here is it's us. It's the community of us.
The work that Mr. Fischetti has done with us to promote public education has been absolutely groundbreaking.
They have the pulse of our community from the nonprofits to the local governments. If you want to find out what's happening in our community, get on board with 93Q.
And 93Q does so much to help our community, helps us promote our local events, as well as local businesses, and tell our story about what we do here in Yuba City.
The folks that work here, they're part of our community, so they understand our needs, and that's important.
Local radio is so important during times of emergency. They're there. We lean on them to provide information to our public.
My wife and I are glad to support 93Q. We're going to do it on a monthly basis, but I really recommend that if you want to make your community better, this is a great place to take a first step right here.
So if you can, reach deep into your pocket and give to 93Q.
93Q is a great partner for law enforcement, and they're a great partner for the Yuba City area.
We're really asking people if you can give $10, $15, $20 a month, and then that enables us to continue to put small business spots on the air, nonprofits, organizations that are they're using every dollar they got just to operate, and they don't have extra money to spend on really promoting their cause. And that is why community radio, to me, I'm grateful to be part of it, and that's why it's important. All right, we're back, and I was really impressed by Marc Boomgaarden.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, that guy, he's the right guy to be in public office.
I liked him before. I really like him even more now.
Yeah. I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous to say this, but I love that he takes it serious.
Yeah.
I love that it matters to him.
Absolutely.
That our community matters, right?
Well, and I think you look at his history and everything he had done set him up perfectly for where he is now.
Yeah. Yeah, he needs to stay in office for...
I know. 2 years is not going to work for him. He's going to need another term.
Yeah.
What was his wife was Karen? Was that right?
Yeah.
Karen, we're going to need you to allow another term.
Work on him. Tell him it's only about 10 hours a week or whatever.
It's 10 hours a month. It's fine.
A month, right? It's just like, call Sean Harris and ask him for pointers on how to recruit Marc, right?
That's barely even an inconvenience. It's fine.
I'm surprised you haven't considered public office.
No, because I'm an introvert. This is as extroverted as I get. And then this is why I can only do one of these a week, because then I need to go home and introvert for a while. Yeah, I'm not like a big people-y person.
I would never guess that.
I'm a people person, meaning like one-on-one, I'm good. I'm not a people-y person.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't
But your boys aren't like that. They're both outgoing, aren't they?
They're both pretty outgoing, yeah. Yeah. But they also recharge as an introvert at home, like on their own, quiet time, downtime. Yeah.
I love this because I still am discovering things about you. Even
I know.
It's like you're like an onion, right? You know that.
I am. Careful, you might cry.
That's probably going to happen before this is over.
True.
That's going to happen. And
interviewing you. Kurt, new idea. We interview
Fish. That would be.
That's happening. Look at you. You're already worried about it.
I have to go.
No, you don't. You live here. We said it. It's happening.
And so we're coming up on the holiday season.
Yeah.
And so we should probably do a Thanksgiving special.
Oh, we could.
And a Christmas special. So we need to be thinking about being thankful. And
what do you guys do for Thanksgiving? Do you do like the big dinner still?
Well, my boys, when they got married, I told them, I said, look, go do stuff with your in-laws, right? And then, because we'll pick any day and then do stuff with us. So usually we have Thanksgiving, but not on Thanksgiving. So we'll have it.
Do you do spaghetti? Spaghetti?
No,
or do you do like a traditional Thanksgiving?
We do turkey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But Christmas, we've changed it up.
Yeah? What do you do?
Yeah. Because once I've had my turkey fix.
You're good.
Oh, I love turkey.
Yeah.
And so we've had ham. We had prime rib last year.
Oh, okay.
But we've had lasagna. That used to be the staple, lasagna.
Yeah.
Then Patty she didn't get a choice.
Yeah.
You're making lasagna. You're the lasagna woman. But now, we've really gotten open, and my son has really taken on a greater role in it. And so, but Patty and I will always do a little something together besides doing the family,
Nice.
But yeah, I'm a turkey guy.
We totally went away from traditional. For years I did, like, my ex-husband has a really big family locally, and so we'd have 20 plus people every year for, Thanksgiving, and we'd host and Christmas. And so our first year separated, I made a pancake bar. So we do pancakes for Thanksgiving and Christmas as our dinner. So we make pancakes, and then there's a bar of toppings, and you can put whatever you want on it. And it has been the best. So the first year I was like, we'll test this out. Now the kids are like, we're doing pancakes, right?
Well, you heard it here first, folks. There is an alternative to turkey, ham.
There really is. Less dishes.
A pancake bar.
Yeah.
You could use paper plates.
You totally could. Nobody would care. Yeah.
What time do you guys usually eat?
I'll text you. I don't want to broadcast it. We'll have a whole line out the door. Including Kurt, apparently.
Like, okay, are they sourdough pancakes?
They are. Yeah. We do sourdough pancakes. We might change it up and make waffles this year. I don't know.
Ooh, I have a super waffle maker.
Do you?
Ooh, yeah.
I still have like the old cast iron waffle maker.
That you flip over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So guess what, you guys? We're going to have some sort of Thanksgiving, maybe pancake thing. Who knows what we'll do? We'll do something here, right?
Turkey-shaped bread.
Turkey cheese bread?
Turkey-shaped bread.
Oh, turkey-shaped bread. I said turkey cheese bread. I'm like, turkey cheese bread. Anyway.
That's what you wrinkle your nose at, Cheeto bread.
And so, where was I? What was I?
I don't know. You were saying goodbye.
Probably.
Subscribe, leave a comment.
Listen, we appreciate you watching these. And as always, we just hope you're getting to know your community better. Hopefully you know Marc a little better now and why he does what he does and different ones we had on. I'm going to tell you this. We have scheduled Brian Danielson. For those of you that remember, Brian is a CHP officer that decided to train and run the Ironman, run, bike, swim the Ironman competition. He has completed it, and I talked to him the other day. We're having him on, so we'll get a chance to follow up on that. Some of these we really want to follow up on. But again, if you have an idea, somebody that maybe you think the community really doesn't know them, just because they're in a public position doesn't mean we know them.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and we have been shocked a time or two.
Yeah.
That we could actually pronounce their names.
Speak for yourself.
This one wasn't bad.
This wasn't bad.
I like Benish. That was easy. Benish was...
She was easy.
Anyway, so stay with us. Hit the subscribe button, and then whenever we're on, I think these break on Saturday mornings, give you an opportunity, but you can actually watch them anytime. You can go to YouTube and look up 93Q TV. So thanks for watching, and from the Minnow and myself, we're looking forward to having holiday with you.